From an aggro deck with a creature combat battle plan to a board wipe that completely alters the battlefield landscape. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Jason Burns.
And I'm Danny Nucci, and that was impressive.
Thank you, sir. I did a little research on that. I've got to ask you now, what is the geekiest thing that you do? Because we're talking, geek culture today with Magic the Gathering with Jacob Bertrand. What's your geeky thing?
Geek culture.
Geek culture.
I'm a big sports video game guy. I mean, I'm crazy about it. I get really involved.
Following regular sports. But that's geeky too. I mean,
so the geekiest thing is I get into the draft, deep into the NFL draft, and the players and knowing where they come from.
Stats? Do you look at the stats?
Reels of tape, stats, pieces of tape. I pretend as if I'm actually a member of an NFL organization and my opinion is going to be asked for.
Well, I'm going to ask your opinion right now.
Sure.
If you had the first pick in this past year's NFL draft, who would have you chosen? The
same person that the Chicago Bears chose.
We're going to see him early this year?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think depends on how they play. I mean, if I don't know who's starting for them, but whoever starts, if it's not him, if it's not Williams, keep it rolling as long as they can. I mean, you never know. It's got to unfold.
We talk one-of-one cards with Jacob today, but some of these one-on-one football cards, they go for millions of dollars. It's crazy. Football, basketball, baseball. It's a whole business now of people just opening cards and trying to find the rare ones.
Well, it's great. Keeps your mind off what's happening in the world. I think that's the intention, isn't it?
So is Cobra Kai, which is in its final season right now. First 5 episodes are now live on Netflix.
The very entertaining Jacob Bertrand joins us to talk about Magic the Gathering, Cobra Kai, and Kirby Buckets. Is that his name? Kirby Buckets. What is it? It's not Kirby.
At first, I thought you said Kirby Puckett, the Minnesota Twins.
What is it again?
It is Kirby Buckets. I was just laughing at how you were laughing at it.
It is Kirby Buckets,
yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. You made me second guess myself.
Oh, you just started hilariously laughing.
Well, without further ado, there's an intro. Jacob Bertrand.
So you're at your friend's house, Jacob, but before we get into the conversation, I wanted to talk about the room where you're filming Lone Lobos.
Oh, yeah.
Because whose records are those? Because that's a big record collection behind you.
Oh, yeah. Those are Sholo's dad's.
Oh, all right.
He has, the sickest record collection.
He's got the 2 turntables right there, everything.
Yeah, dude. His setup is freaking nice.
He's committed.
Yeah. I mean, he used to do, DJing and stuff, and he works a lot of concerts and kind of does a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, he has the sickest record collection.
So Jacob, you grew up in LA?
Yeah, I grew up LA adjacent. I mean, technically Claremont is in LA County, but I'm 30 minutes east of Pasadena.
I like that. 30 minutes east of Pasadena, as opposed to a hop and a skip and a jump from Pomona.
Yeah. That's the town right next to me.
I know, it's just funny, how you say it. But yeah, no, it's where the colleges are, the Claremont colleges.
Yeah, the 5 Claremont. Yeah, most people don't know that far east. So sometimes when I say Pomona, they're like, huh? Or if I say, Upland or,
No, I love the way you framed it. 30 minutes past Pasadena.
Yeah. Just keep going on the 210.
So I'm sure you shared this story with lots of people before, but give us you've been acting for over a decade. How did you decide to get into it? Was it something you went to your parents and said, "Hey, I want to do this"?
Yeah, so my older sister would see kids on TV and just think, "Damn, I would do so much better than those kids. I want to be on TV." And my parents had no tie to the industry, and this is super early 2000s, and we're like, oh, we have no idea how to do that. Whatever, McKenna, put it off. And my sister just kept asking to be on TV. And my dad just went to my mom one day and was like, dude, I guess try to figure out how to get the kids on TV. So my mom Googled child actor agents. She came across the Screen Actors Guild website and just a list of a bunch of agents, and you can't do this now, but my mom sent out just Christmas cards to all
Wow.
of the agents that were on the list. And I think 1 or 2 of them got back to my mom, and one of them was like, "Hey, your kids are weird looking enough. We will, hire your children to."
So there were obviously photos in the Christmas card?
Yeah. There were photos in the Christmas
Mhm.
card,
Christmas card slash pitch.
Yeah, Christmas card slash pitch of me, like, shoving my brother's head into sand, like,
How
family
many of you are
vacation
there?
pictures.
3?
There's 3. I have an older sister, me, and then a younger brother, so I'm the middle. And they picked up all 3 of us. So originally it was something my
Wow.
sister wanted to do.
Little did
Um,
your mom know that you. Oh no, wait. So 2000. Yeah. So you were still. There's auditions. Little did she know she'd be spend a lot of time in the car.
a ton, yeah. So yeah,
and then
my
and
my
then there'd be an entire wardrobe in the back seat.
yeah, those, but God bless my mom. I mean, she was driving to Santa Monica during rush hour, like 3.5 hours back to Claremont, so many days out of the week. And we did. I had pretty much like half of the Abercrombie and Fitch
I
catalog
was gonna say in the
just
back.
sitting in the
Yeah,
back
yeah.
of my mom's car.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, just you can't stop on the freeway because you lose so much time.
Parents have
Tons
it
of.
easy now. Get in front of the camera.
I
Okay,
know,
here's your
dude.
sides.
Those kids don't know the grind we had to do, okay? You know how many water bottles I had to piss in to get to where I'm at?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was. I am very grateful for those formative moments. My sister ended up not loving acting. My younger brother, sort of the same happened where he the high school I went to had a very, very competitive running long distance program, and he got super immersed into that. And they're both of them are so demanding. He was like, "Nah, I want to like do cross country." So I mean, he won state, did CIF, all that stuff, has the cool
Oh,
rings from
just
all
one
that.
state and CIF.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
just
it's
that. Sure, because that's easy.
yeah, he's a legit freaking runner. So it's cool. All of us got to be successful in our own little avenues.
Well, what's crazy is so it was McKenna, your sister, who first thought this, and then you fell in love with it. I mean, was that how it worked?
Yeah, I started
Fell in
loving
love
it.
is a strong term, Jason.
Yeah.
Slow
Fell in love
this
with a strong
down.
term. I was bullied a decent amount growing up, and set was not being in school and as much candy as I could eat. So, and I mean, I started acting when I was 5. So to me, that was like, from ages 5 to 10, booking something was amazing because I didn't have to go to school
Well,
and I
within
got to.
within that time between 5 and 10, were you ever on anything consistent or just one-offs, commercials, that kind of thing?
No, just all
Yeah,
commercials.
all
Yeah, I
commercials.
never had. It's funny, I didn't even think that I was allowed to audition for like guest star roles on TV shows or movies because I just wasn't. I was booking so much in the commercial space that my agents were like, "Nah, keep him in the commercial
Was
space."
that agent that you signed with? Was it a commercial agent? Is that how
They were I no, they totally
did everything?
yeah, they had everything, but I just was
They
kind of
call
like
it
the commercial
theatrical,
kid.
Jason. That's it's either
Mm.
theatrical or
Mm-hmm.
commercial. Those are the
Mm-hmm.
two
Yeah,
terms,
those are the
generally
so
speaking.
I had to beg my agents to let me start auditioning for TV shows because I mean I would watch Nickelodeon growing up and I was like, hey, I want to be one of those kids. And they let me audition for I think Parks and Rec was the first one
Sure.
that I ended up booking, and I think that sort of proved to them that I was like good enough
And
to.
then my favorite show of all time, Community, which years
Yeah,
later I went back and I said, "Oh my God, that's Jacob." I didn't realize
I
it at
played
first.
young Joel McHale. Yeah. That was the next guest star role I did, and
I
then I
see it.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd say, dude, Joel McHale rocks. I love that compliment. But yeah, I played young Joel McHale, and then I auditioned for iCarly, and that was for Nickelodeon.
Wait.
I
The
got
new iCarly or
the
the old
old one, the old
the
iCarly.
old iCarly.
The old iCarly, yeah. I was in their 100th episode special.
Nice. Something that is very close to my family, Jacob, is Bubble Guppies because I have
Yeah,
kids who
yeah.
are older now, but who watch that. And you did a lot of voiceover work early in your career, right?
Yeah, I did, the agent, that I was with at the time, they have a really, really big, robust, VO department, and they rock. So I got to work a ton. I did a lot of, ADR, like, loop grouping stuff. So, you know, Warner Brothers has 10 movies coming out for the year. You know, they need sort of like background noises for everything. So I was a part of this elite group of background voices.
You know they call them Walla Walla groups.
Yep, I was one of the kids.
Yeah, it's like when you're a restaurant scene, everybody's going Walla 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 Walla.
Yeah.
So it's that's where the term comes from. But yeah, it's great. By the way, talk about steady work, kid. That is steady work.
Yeah, that was probably the steadiest thing that I had. But yeah, it was just, I mean, I probably would do a commercial once every 3 weeks, probably.
So you literally went to school on set. You stopped going. Did you stop going to regular school?
I got really lucky in the way that one of the kids I grew up with, shout out Colin O'Connor. He's a real one. Colin O'Connor and his father, Dr. O'Connor.
Dr. O'Connor, I love it.
He was sort of the head honcho of the Claremont Unified School District. So the rule is if you're out of school for a month, you know, or like just a month of school time, doesn't even have to be consecutive, you have to go on independent study. And which means, you know, homeschool basically. But because I was good friends with Colin growing up, Dr. O'Connor, he sort of kept sliding my independent study permanence, like off the table. So I was
all who you know.
It's all who you know, you know. So I did. I got really lucky, and I owe a lot of my sanity to my parents for raising me well, and him to keeping me in public school.
Did you keep going back to your regular school each time, and people are like, "Well, what are you doing?" You're like, "I was doing television commercials, just acting." You know, I'm an actor, so like that.
Yeah.
You said you were bullied too. I mean, kids can be jerks. That actually can turn a little bit, and they can bully you more because you're doing something that is foreign to them.
Yeah, I started acting when I was 5, and that's like right when you start. I mean, it's kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
So sort of from the get-go, I was like this weird kid that would appear on TV every once in a while. And so that started off I was the gay theater nerd.
But you were probably doing commercials too, Jacob, of things that they were seeing, right? Like,
yes.
The new toy. Oh my God, there's Jacob in this new thing that I want.
You know, Air Hogs, whatever, Oscar Mayer commercials.
So let me ask you this: at what point? Because how old are you now? If you mind me asking?
24.
Okay, so at what point? Because this is my story. It's really, we're talking about me. Is really what's happening. We're gonna pretend like we're talking about you. So at what point did you go? Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think I was on this Disney XD show called Kirby Buckets. And I was working with this guy named Stephen Kieran. He played my school principal. And he is one of the most talented improv actors I've ever seen. He's just absolutely brilliant, and I got to learn so much from him. He sort of really took me under his wing and was like, "Hey kid, like let's do this. Like let's really learn." I had another mentor, Casey Sander. He sort of did the same thing, and you know, just kind of showed me what acting could be and what it was. And I was like, it turned from instead of, you know, memorizing lines and skipping school, like this is almost like escapism type thing where I get to play different characters and like I'm making a wait, but that's not on the script. Why would I make a backstory for?
But at this point, you realize that you had the talent of taking somebody else's lines and making it sound like they're yours.
Yes, and that was a super fun realization to have these very generous, you know, older talented actors who didn't have to do this to, you know, an 11-year-old, 13-year-old kid, and sort of like show me like, hey, like, dude, there's a lot of art in this, you know, like let's dig deeper into it. And I'm super great. I still have contact with them and they fucking rock.
It's also cool that you then moved to Cobra Kai and you got Ralph and William who were doing it at your age. And then, you know, both of them had a gap in their career, and being able to see that and learn that you stick around long enough, things come back around.
Yeah, Denzel Washington has that cool, I think it's Denzel Washington. He has that cool quote where he says, you know, if you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get your haircut.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, growing up, he was one of my favorite actors. I loved my dad when I think I was 13. He had a list of 13 movies that I had to watch to become a man. And it was like, you know, American History X, Reservoir Dogs, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Training Day.
Those are good.
Yeah, I mean, they're all great.
Very
you know,
good.
Karate Kid was in there. Yeah, it's the Goonies. He loves the Disney movie Treasure Planet because that's just him. He just thinks, You know, he grew up without a dad and was so rebellious. Like that's just my father in a nutshell. But um, yeah, Denzel Washington, goated.
Denzel, obviously, fame. Kirby buckets, that brought a different level of fame. Were you ready and prepared for that side of acting, where you're suddenly uh, being seen as how people want to see you? You know what I mean?
Well, but also by that time you'd been recognized at stores, you've been recognized at restaurants, you've been recognized at school, you've had a version of it to a certain degree already, right? So you kind of sort of knew how to manage it, didn't you?
Yeah, I knew how to manage it a little bit. At first, it was definitely awkward because kids would come up to me and say, like, "Are you the Claritin box from the Claritin commercial?" And that was always kind of like, "Oh yeah, like that's me." Like it was just kind of weird. And when Kirby Buckets came out, it definitely spiked that a little bit, but it was nothing crazy. Like I could definitely go to the grocery store, movie theater, mall, wherever, and not get recognized.
But it would have also been your peers, right, Jacob? It was kids your own age. It's not like some weird random adult going, "Hey, Kirby
Yes.
buckets."
Yeah, exactly. Like it was kids my own age, and like every
Jesus,
once in a while, if
Jason.
I was sometimes I'd be bugging my sister or something, where we're out and about in like the village. My sister sometimes would go like, "It's Kirby Buckets," and every once in a while there'd be a kid that turned around and be like, "Whoa, really?" Just to, get her to get me to fuck off. But yeah, no, the fame aspect wasn't too. Honestly, it's never been too crazy. The only time it's been crazy is I was at an F1 thing in Miami, and I was with my friend Sholo, and I had blue hair,
Yeah, and you guys are both together.
both
And
together, and we were exiting, and it was just so many people, and I'm convinced that every single fucking person in Miami has seen Cobra Kai because we could not. That's the only time it's been
in
crazy.
Miami's defense, they solve everything with karate down there. So
I mean, dude, violence is the answer there. Like, let's be
So
real.
at some point you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and you're like, I'm gonna be an actor. This is what. Did you move up? When? Oh, you're still home, right? You're smart. You're not paying rent anywhere,
Yeah, no. I in high school,
bro. Bro, you know what? You must know from your friends how much money you're saving.
100%.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
friends like, how much do you pay? None. I'm at
Not
home,
me.
killing it,
$1,500 a month. Oh my god, my grandma does my laundry.
bro.
Okay.
Bro, I don't know where your friends are living for $1,500 a month, but it's. Let me tell you something. They're either sharing a place or it's a box somewhere in
Oh
Panorama
no,
City.
they're all sharing a place.
Yeah, I
Like
was gonna
I'm
say,
like
yeah.
right now, I'm in I think 1,800 a month. Yeah.
ride that horse as long as you can,
Yeah,
man. That's
I for what was it, 5 years lived in my grandmother's pool house, had my own separate entrance.
As a dude, as a young dude coming up, that's the move.
It was great.
It's
It,
so
it was so
good.
fun. My little brother, it's right next to my dad's wood shop, and my brother is a carpenter, so he's been begging me for a couple years to move out because he lives in like this side house of my parents. It's not really a side; it's just a room that doesn't have an entrance.
So how often? I mean, just again for people that really don't understand the geography of Los Angeles. How often do you actually? You don't ever have to really get in a car unless you're going to work, right? I mean, you're not auditioning, right? It's all on tape.
I mean, yeah, which first of all, I'm curious to ask your guys' opinions on this, but like tapes suck. I hate doing
No,
tapes.
don't get me started. I mean, you don't want to do this to the podcast and get me rolling on this.
I just
You don't
much
want to
rather
do
be
it.
in the room. Like I do get that it opens
Well,
it
you
up
actually
to
have the experience of being in the room. For people that don't
right.
really have the
yeah,
experience of being to the room, it sounds like a really wonderful idea, which is you get to do 10, 15 takes. You get to look at the ones that you like. You get to send
yeah.
out the one that you appreciate, and it's gone. It ain't the same process.
But like going in person is way more akin to what it is on the day because when you're an actor and you get casted off of a self tape, you're not watching back your stuff. You don't get to look at and be like, "Oh, I don't like the about what I did with my eyebrows there. Let me do something different."
It's also the stakes are high. Like
Yes.
there's a certain element of relaxation when you're doing it in your house, and you know you're gonna do 15 of them if you need to, and You get one shot. You got to be social. You come in the room, right? I mean, you can take this at any time, Jacob. At any time you want to take it, take it. But you walk in the room. You already got fucking nerves. You saw 4 guys outside that are way better than this. You're second guessing whether you're fucking memorized it enough. You walk into a room. You're meeting all these people that have all this power, and they're adults. Some of them look like they're bored. Other people look like they're way too fucking interested. You're trying to figure out which guy, right? You're trying to figure out which one of the guys is the guy.
You need to impress.
Gal,
yeah, for sure.
Or the gal, whichever one. And then you got the casting person who either likes you, don't like you. You know them, you don't know them. And you got to figure out their vibe because they're the ones that are going to read with you.
And they got the monotone voice. They're just reading like, yes. And then I went into, and you're like, I got to pull something out of this one. Like, I really got to make this one work.
But how do you not, like, you're in the room and you're doing that, right? How do you not, like, look over to see what their eyes are doing, to see what their facial
peripheral
expressions
vision,
are doing?
Jason. You have peripheral vision.
You just learn to read the body language of like.
You can feel it from your peripheral vision what everybody's doing. And also, there's as Jacob will attest, there's an energy in the room, man. And when you click into that energy, is there anything better? Because it's really kind of like live theater. When you're killing it and you feel like you can feel the room knows you're killing it. It's kind of great.
There's definitely auditions that I've done where I've walked out and be like, I fucking killed that. And then you don't get it.
And you're like, versa, right?
Well, yeah.
So that experience is gone when you send in a tape, right? Because you don't even get to feel the energy of what the room is.
Sometimes, Jason, you get nothing.
Yeah. It's like your tape just goes into the void. It's sometimes what I feel like. It's me personally, like it's so rare to even get feedback on a tape. And it's kind of disheartening because you go into a room, usually when you go into the room, you'll get some sort of note or just some sort of response. Even if it's thank you so much for coming, you got a response. Like when I was a kid, one of my favorite things to do was try to look at the script. Most scripts will read, especially when you're a kid, will read a very certain way of like, okay, this is definitely the way that they want this to be read.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to find a different way to read it just so that I could get in the room, do it the way that I came up with, get the note to do it the way that they want. And then I walk out of the room, they're like, oh, wow, that kid knows how to
great
adjust.
Adjustment. Yeah, he's really able to take direction. Wow.
Yes.
He came up with an interesting idea. Wasn't what we wanted, but then his ability
He's
to go
coachable.
Back, oh, very coachable.
Yeah.
I know.
Dumb,
So
super
good.
dumb trick, but was always kind of fun to do. It's impossible with a tape.
So Cobra Kai, tape or in-room audition?
In-room audition.
Cobra Kai in-room audition.
Yep, that was the last in-room audition I've ever done. Everything else has been a tape.
Wow.
I can't remember.
Your last in person?
Can't remember.
I mean, I remember mine because the last one I did, I booked.
I literally cannot remember. I mean, obviously it was pre-pandemic, but I cannot remember.
I guess Cobra Kai was pre-pandemic. I remember that audition. I walked in to the cast, like the waiting room, and there was a black kid in there and this kid with he was a white kid with a big afro. And I remember walking into that waiting room thinking, damn, we were all reading for the same role. I was like, they have no idea what they want.
What about magic? Yeah. There's certain things I know nothing about. This was something I knew absolutely zero about until I started to get into it for this podcast.
No way, there we go.
Which doesn't mean it's more about me than anything else. Because this is quite a prevalent game in today's society. But holy shit, can you please tell the readers what it is so that they have an idea in case they're coming to it like I am? Did I say readers?
You did say readers.
The whole thing about explaining how you didn't know what it is
was suspect.
A little dated.
to where I called it readers.
I hear your rotary phone ringing in the background.
Your local paper, right? Tell Johnny to throw this right on your doorstep. It's coming hot off the press.
Oh Jesus, go on.
So Magic the Gathering. It is a trading card game that is collectible and you can play it competitively. Basically, I would liken it to a more complicated version of Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh. Chess with pictures.
What is Yu-Gi-Oh?
Card game. It's just like Pokemon. It's It's a different flavor of
Jason,
Pokemon.
did you know from Yu-Gi-Oh?
I did, yes.
Okay.
There you go. Get wrecked. Get wrecked.
I played D&D and have for a long time.
Okay, there you go. That's similar. Same company, WotC, Wizards of the Coast.
But it involves cards, which D&D does not.
Yes.
A deck of cards.
Yeah.
You're playing off a deck.
Yeah, so you have you have a deck of cards, varying in size, but it's basically I have my deck of cards, you have your deck of cards. I will summon creatures and cast spells to try to drain or kill your life total down to 0.
Are you role playing?
You're not no, you're not role playing. You're just sort of, I mean, shit, you can if you want. Every time you cast a lightning bolt, you can go like this if you want to, but
And is this online, or are you doing it with physical cards?
you can do it online. Most people do it with physical cards.
So it's a hang.
Yes, there's a format
That's
called
great.
Commander where it's 4 people and it's a free for all, and that's usually like the grab a beer.
I was gonna say,
put on
can
cool
you just all
music.
start drinking and playing together in a room? This sounds fantastic.
It's super fun. And it's also like really funny.
Wait, so it's a social thing where people actually interact with each other?
100%. Like you can go to kill my best creature, and I'd be like, yo, please don't fucking do that. And I have every right. There's no rules in sort of like the politicking. I could be like, sick, like make me dinner, and I won't kill it. If you agree, it's like sure, like then don't kill it. I'm gonna
Okay,
make
you
ramen
clean
right
up
now.
tomorrow. And
Yeah,
I'll
100%.
Sure.
So if I killed your creature, do you lose that card in as your possession, as your ownership of that card?
It's pretty rare to play for ante, or play for keeps. No one really does that. I've tried implementing that in my friend group, but Magic cards can get pretty expensive. So the fear.
I was looking at the disparity between what certain cards cost against other cards. It's quite a disparity. I mean, if you're economically well off, you can gather some cards that have quite a bit of power, is what I picked up.
Oh, 100%. It's yeah. I mean, Posty bought a card that was $2.6 million.
I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah, you guys know the singer Post Malone.
All right, yes. Geez, we're really showing our age here.
Speak for yourself. I knew that time. I knew what he was talking about. You fuck.
There you go. There you go. You got one in the books. No, they did a Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering crossover. So it was Magic cards and Magic mechanics, but with all of the flavor and aesthetics of Lord of the Rings. And they made the One Ring, and they decided to make a 1 of 1. So in all of the millions of cards that get printed, they made one special edition One Ring. And there were all these offers out on social media. Oh, whoever pulls it, I'll give you $150,000. I'll give you $200,000. I'll give you $500,000. And once it did get pulled, it privately sold to Post Malone for $2.6 million. And then they decided to talk about it's.
That's when you get too much money in your hands. That's what I'm saying.
I do sports cards, Jacob, so I know the 1-on-1 vibe.
Yeah.
And part of that is just you want to be the person, the only person in the world who owns that card. You're never playing that 1-on-1 card. It's not going in a deck.
No, yeah. But Magic is super fun. I got into it because I was a TA in high school for my math teacher.
The 4 times you were in school?
Yes, these are the and it was great because the couple times I was in school, I would get to just hang out and be a TA, and my strategy is I would just give everyone a B. Every test, every homework assignment.
It's good.
Everyone got a B, and then every once in a while there'd be the one, persnickety kid that would say, "Hey, actually, I got all these right." I'm like, "Okay," so I'd remember that kid's name, and whenever I see his name, I'd give him an A. So that was my sort of yeah. He'd get an A. But the school messed up, and they gave Mr. Oberbeck 4 TAs when normally a teacher only gets 1. And Mr. Oberbeck has this rule where all of his TAs learn how to play Magic the Gathering.
Oh.
And so all 4 of us learned to play Magic the Gathering, and after we finished giving everybody their Bs like 5 minutes into class, we would just start grinding.
This is like a weird version of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, it is.
Is there a time? Do you play as long as you want to play, or is it timed? How do you decide how long you're going to play?
Yeah, so each game, everyone has 20 life. So once you get your opponent's life total to 0, game over, you've won. Games can range from 5 minutes to, also depending on like the type of game you want to play.
Lives? Yeah.
You could play for 2 hours. You could play for 3 minutes.
But it's pre-established.
Yes, it's pre-established. Everybody knows going into the game what type of game they're playing, how long it's going to take. There's different formats basically. There's like 1v1 formats like Modern, Legacy, and those just sort of differ on what different cards are allowed.
Sure.
Like Legacy is a way higher powered format. There's more older cards allowed, where Modern is it's newer cards. Standard is rotating. It's only like the top or like the newest 8 sets that come out. That's like the money grabbing one
Yeah, I
because
was gonna say that's kind of
you have to keep buying new cards, which
it's like an iPhone.
it's like an iPhone. But standard is very fun, and it's fun to draft. That's how I spend a lot of my money is drafting Magic.
What do you mean drafting?
So drafting is similar to like a sports draft where
I'm
everyone
familiar
has
with a sports draft.
similar with the sports drafts. There's usually 8 players. Everybody has 3 packs. Everyone at the same time opens up 1 pack. I look through the cards that I have. I pick the best one that gets added to my pile, and everyone does that, and then they all just shift packs. Everyone
That's
passes their pack to the left.
fantastic.
So you're
That's
basically building a
terrific.
deck on a fly.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so
Super
it's like
fun.
fantasy. It's like
Yes.
fantasy deck. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's the best way to play Magic in my opinion.
Is there the guy who just goes out, spends a couple grand, and says, "Look at my deck," and then comes to the table with like a super jack deck, and you're like, "Well, that's no fun."
100%. That can totally happen, but a lot of times, you know, for something like a modern tournament that's very competitive, standard tournament, very competitive, everyone has the same card pool, and you know, but at that point, everyone's playing the best cards. So it then really comes down to who's the better player and who's going to make better decisions.
Strategy.
You know, strategy.
Strategy, right? And
Yeah.
have you noticed that you've developed strategies that work? That when you're playing with someone newer, they're like, yeah, that kid ain't got it yet.
Oh yeah, I
They
mean,
gotta figure it out.
I've introduced probably almost a dozen people to to card games and like Magic specifically. I definitely have people who are like, "Oh, that is definitely the person who's the best that I've ever taught."
We talked to actor Todd Stashwick, who has like celebrity tournaments for charity. Have you ever done anything like that with Magic? Do those exist?
They kind of. I've done some things for charity with Magic. There's a really
Things you
big
never thought you'd hear yourself say.
Yeah, you know what's funny is my dad, you know, I was a very sort of like outdoorsy, sporty kid growing up, and my dad is not nerdy at all. Neither is my mom. She's also very sporty. When I first started getting into Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, this weird nerd stuff, they were like, "This is lame. Like this
We're
is very
concerned.
lame. Like this is demonic shit. What do you mean you're
Is he
summoning
gonna
a
go out? Is he gonna
monster?"
stop going outside?
That's what they thought of D&D in the
Yes,
80s.
yeah.
Congress tried to shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, there's Magic cards that are like, you know, diabolic tutor or demonic tutor. Dude's got a pentagram on his forehead. And my parents were like, "What is this? What is this demonic thing you're doing? This is teaching you horrible." And I'm like, "Guys, it's math, and it's this picture.
It's
not."
math. I love
Yeah,
it's
you know,
math.
my math teacher taught me, but
That's the best part is your teacher taught
yeah,
you.
my teacher taught me. But what's been so cool about Magic is there's this YouTube channel called Game Nights, with a K, Nights with a K, and they do basically gameplay footage. Well, they'll record themselves doing gameplay, and you know they have a huge following, and they'll do live events at different tournaments that Magic themselves will put on. And so I've gotten to, fly to Barcelona, go to Amsterdam, go to Vegas, like travel around the world with these other sort of nerdy people and play Magic. And that's mainly how I've gotten to travel. Like Cobra Kai has taken me to Atlanta and LA.
Not bad. Not bad.
It's not bad at all. But I mean, the nerd game that my dad really didn't want me to play growing up
has allowed you to see the world.
Has allowed me, even my girlfriend, when we first started dating, she's like, oh, this is like,
here's 10 things I like about you, here's one I don't.
It wasn't until, we're going to Post Malone's house and playing Magic, and I'm like, hey, do you want to go to Barcelona for a month? And like, I have to work for a week, but then, we'll get to hang out in Europe for 3 weeks. And she's like, oh, wait, this stuff is kind of cool, actually. Maybe I'll learn. Actually, it is fun,
Let me ask you this, Jacob. I'm in Massachusetts. I'm like a stone's throw from Hasbro, who owns Wizard of the Coast.
For sure.
If you were the decision maker for a day with Magic, what would you do? What would be the move?
Oh, man.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice?
That is nice. Is this something where, like, I'm obligated to keep the company running?
Oh, no, you can run it to the ground, Jacob, if
Oh.
you want to.
You have creative freedom.
Oh, okay. This is perfect. First of all, you have to buy, like, if you want to play online, you have to buy the Magic cards. That shit's free forever, and it can't be changed. It's like the Constitution. Like, some things can be altered, but that shit, that is like number one, cannot change. Magic cards online will always be free. That's the first thing I would do. And then I would just start, like, printing out sets of all the most expensive cards and just printing them out like crazy.
You would make Post Malone's $2.2 million card no longer priceless.
You know what's interesting about that one is that card exists. Just literally what Posty's card is special about it is the art.
Oh.
That card exists out there it's just different art. This one is like a very special art treatment. So you can make the cost of Magic cards go down a lot. It's just printed in a different art, you know.
Basically, your solution would be inflation. I like it. It's good.
Yes, I'm doing inflation. There is something called the reserved list for Magic, and it's basically after a certain set, like all of the very, very old Magic cards, they've promised, which I don't know if they're going to keep.
By the way, he did air quotes there for the readers. Just kidding.
Reading this transcript off of the newspaper that you rode your horse to go get.
Yes.
Those people.
Yeah.
They're never going to reprint those cards, which is actually something that I like. I like that there's a certain.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So there's like rookie cards of creatures. Monsters.
Yes, yeah, I like that aspect of it. I personally, I don't even own any of the reserve list cards because they're so expensive. They're very, very expensive. But I like that there's some very, very cool old Magic cards that are hard to get because they're just super old. I think that's really cool. You know, maybe I'll own some one day.
I got a question.
Yeah.
What's the best card you got?
The best card I got. Ooh, that's a good one.
2 or 3. You don't have to be limited. Just, what a particular set, whatever. Just which one is like your prized baby.
Oh man, you know what's funny? It's not a very expensive card, but the first time I got first in a tournament, just at my LGS, I think I was like 15 maybe.
You what?
Local game store is LGS. Yeah.
Thank you.
Got you. Dude, don't feel bad about that one. That's a very nerd term.
Let's move on.
Yes. Yeah. So I won and you get a little promo pack. And in my promo pack was this legendary creature, Omnath Locust of the Royal. And it's just one of my favorite cards. The most expensive one I have is it's a land. It's an old land called a Badlands. Which I think actually is on the reserve list. So I lied. I do own one card on the reserve list.
Well, that first one is good because you acquired it by winning, which is
cool. So it feels really cool. I got it by winning.
You earned it.
I earned it.
Yes.
The Badlands I bought with my own money. I bought a beta Badlands. It's a pretty expensive card, but it's sick, super cool.
I was gonna say we have a reader question that I want to read to you, and this one is from Denny L.
Okay.
And Denny says, "As Hawk, you've had many different colored mohawks. What's your favorite?"
Ooh. I have a tie. I love when I have the red mohawk because the riders, I was in their favor and had so much plot armor and could just do anything and get away with it, and that was super fun. But I have a purple mohawk for a very brief stint, and I love that one a lot because I styled my hair that day. So that mohawk is I did it. Like I actually got to put the gel.
You were the guy? Did you tell hair to just stand aside? I got this?
Yeah, I walked in and said, "Everybody shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down." Okay, I'm doing my hair today.
Where's the product?
Shit. No, I know what the product is. Take your hands off the damn hairspray, Karen. I'm doing this today.
Wow. I had no idea that he's traveling the world with this game.
And apparently Atlanta and LA for Cobra Kai, but Magic's taking him everywhere.
It shoots in Atlanta.
Everything shoots in Atlanta now, right? I mean, that's like the place.
A lot. They have a lot of production there, yeah. And the crews are good. I mean, that's how Vancouver became what Vancouver became. The crews are good. When the crews are good, you can go anywhere where you can save $1.
I don't think anybody's saving $1 buying Magic the Gathering cards. They seem pretty expensive.
No, certainly not Post Malone, as you will hear, or as you heard. I can't fucking. There's something wrong with me. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. He spent a little money on a card.
He did. And it sounds like we didn't ask. We should have asked. But Jacob Bertrand is apparently playing at Post Malone's house. Why didn't we ask that?
Well, by the way, I know. That's really when I should have hit one of my pump the brakes here. Wait, you're You're playing with. I mean, talk about not being a nerd game any longer.
We just glazed over that.
I'm hanging with Posty playing Magic the Gathering. And it's funny. I just kind of went with like, yeah, okay, of course you are.
I mean, there's no reason to question it, right?
It's what all these quote unquote Hollywood types do. See, I have to say quote unquote as opposed to having to tell our readers that I'm doing it. Anyway, I gotta stop because I can't go on like this. I gotta have some self-esteem left after one of these things. So without further ado, I'm gonna say thanks for listening and thanks for reading.
Oh my God!
Music by Denny Nucci. Produced and edited by the same two people you heard hosting the show because they have no friends.